attempt to juggle these. That's how seriously I'm taking my job today, but I can't juggle. So instead of that, let's hear what's on your lens today, Lindsey.
I want to see the juggling. Okay. Former Democratic National Committee Chair Jamie Harrison is stepping back into the political arena with a new podcast as he and his party look to bounce back from losing the White House last year. And his first guest, none other than Hunter Biden. Now you may be wondering why or how this could possibly be helpful to the conversation. Well, Harrison told NBC this interview is an opportunity for folks to really get to know Hunter instead of looking at him as, quote, a caricature. He said, quote, when I look at Hunter and the conversations I've had with him over the last 4 years, this guy is really bright. He's smart. He's very passionate about the things in service, helping to people. He went on to note, quote, but you know, I only got a chance to see it because of my interactions with him. When you ask most people, they have no clue. All they know is what Marjorie Taylor Greene would say about Hunter, or what either political allies or his political opponents would say. Now, Hunter didn't mince words during his podcast interview, taking the opportunity to blame Democrats' election disaster on their lack of loyalty to his dad, saying, quote, we had the advantage of incumbency. We had the advantage of an incredibly successful administration, and the Democratic Party literally melted down. Now, I'll be the first one to say, Democrats could take a page from the Republican playbook on public unity and having private disagreements. But let's be real. It wasn't just about lack of loyalty to your dad, Hunter. It was former President Joe Biden's concerning debate performance against Trump last June that launched supporters into a scramble for a plan B. Not a sheer lack of confidence and loyalty to your father. An honest person watching that debate could not wholeheartedly say that the person we saw on that stage was prepared to run our country for the next 4 years. And let's not ignore reports that President Biden was, at the time, mentally preoccupied with Hunter's federal gun trial. That could have been part of why he seemed distracted while campaigning. But here's the harsh truth, Hunter. Your dad should have planned to be a one-term president. Then Democrats would have won the election. Not only would that have given Kamala more than 107 days to make her case, but a planned one-term presidency could have opened the door for other promising Democratic candidates to emerge and build momentum for a future presidential run. And while committing to a single term might feel like appear like it's less powerful, in Biden's case, it could have allowed him to pursue a focused agenda without constantly being evaluated through the lens of re-election. It was also a missed opportunity to be a bridge to a new generation. Biden could have been a hero, a transitional figure, bridging the gap between younger Democratic leaders and avoiding the moment we're in right now, where so many diverse, capable candidates feel sidelined. And guess what? Right now, we'd be talking more about your dad's major policy achievements than about poor re-election strategy or his fitness to even carry on. Achievements like record low unemployment rates for workers of color and disabled workers and Americans as a whole, like expanding overtime guarantees for millions of Americans, or the fact that a record 21 million new small business applications were filed during Biden's term in office. Like I tell my Republican friends, you've got to move on. Stop obsessing about what went wrong over Biden's term, because the most important thing that went wrong was the fact that Biden ran for a second term.
Yes, lots of wisdom there, Lindsey. Very little I disagree with. I think you could make the case that excessive loyalty to Biden among his inner circle did him no favors. And now I honestly feel a little bad how much we, not us specifically, but everyone kind of in the media on both sides beats up on Biden.
You do.
Well, I just don't like being, I don't agree with his policies. I don't think he was a good president. I don't like being excessively cruel to him. I think the person in the office of the presidency deserves a little bit of respect. And he was put in a position, like an older family member who won't give up the car, who's not ready to move into a home, where excessive deference to their wishes did them some real harm. And I think that's sad, and I think that's an indictment of Hunter Biden, whose own behavior, he said, oh, people should have been more loyal to my dad. He was loyal to his dad in a very self-serving way, I think, because he wanted a pardon and he wanted his dad's support. He did try. I don't blame Joe Biden for this, but Hunter clearly tried to leverage his connections to his dad for financial benefits. I'm not saying anything came of that, but he certainly tried. And he got his dad into all sorts of embarrassing situations because of his drug problems and his personal life. And and people struggle with trust. It's fine. People, I'm not trying to pass moral condemnation, but when he says that other people weren't loyal enough to, look at what you did to my dad. Well, look at what you did to your dad, man. Come on.
I thought it was a bad messenger and also a bad message. But I also want to stop the back and forth. I think part of it is that people won't just accept the reality. You take some L's, you win sometimes, you have to just accept that. But also, I think the Democratic Party won't step back and just look at the last few years. So, there was a huge cry in 2020 for something different. People were kind of over and exhausted by the chaos that ensued for Trump's first presidency, mainly because COVID came and people were flustered about the strategy and the ways forward. And so Biden, rather than, let's say, beating Trump in some sweeping win, it was more of like people were so done with that option that they went to a better alternative. And it wasn't because he was good, it's because he might offer stability or something to get us through the next 4 years that would be calming and leadership-like. And so I think that to miscalculate that that's what people wanted twice when we were fully out of COVID by the time that Biden was ready to run against Trump again, and then to switch to Kamala the last quarter when there were people that had to be mentioning that, what's the plan here? I know ego tells you should run more than once, especially if you're an incumbent, that you have the advantage.
Yeah.
But just smart and looking at the field, journalism all over the place, understanding, reading the room tells you that that wasn't a good strategy. So that's the frustrating part because everybody knew what was at stake. Everyone who was complaining, everyone who goes as far as to call Trump a fascist and all these different names, apparently knew what they felt was at stake. And so for this to be the solution for Biden to run again, and then switch the change when there was no other choice. After that debate, there was no other choice. It just was a loss, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So to switch 107 days out, to me, you provided no room for a real strategy to happen.
And the idea, Biden's poll numbers were so low. The idea that he was at some kind of competitive advantage, even Kamala Harris, who was not, I don't think, a terrific candidate, but Biden was certainly going to do worse than her. The polling was very clear on that. It would have to be there was no level of polling error that would possibly, in any universe, say that Joe Biden was in better shape than Kamala Harris. Incumbency is just not. Incumbency did used to be an advantage. I would argue for most of the 20th century in presidential politics, incumbency did provide some advantage. It wasn't an ironclad advantage, but it was an advantage. I don't think in our modern political era, incumbency is necessarily an advantage. Our media coverage is so partisan and so negative that I think even if you're a relatively successful president, you're going to get more negative coverage than you would have even 10 or 20 years ago. So I don't know that incumbency is an advantage. Also, can we, for just 1 second, talk about Jamie Harrison? Why is he doing this? I saw him.
What's wrong? Everyone's doing a podcast.
Well, yeah, and I saw him being touted. Is Jamie Harrison the liberal Joe Rogan? And I'm like, well, not if his idea is to rehabilitate Hunter Biden. I mean, contrast that with, for instance, Gavin Newsom, who started a podcast and has interviewed Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon, and came off, I thought, pretty more likable than I thought of him beforehand. I think Gavin Newsom shows how to do this. Again, I'm giving credit where it's due. I don't like Gavin Newsom, but I think he's doing a better job in the podcasting space. Certainly than Jamie Harrison. Like, yeah, let's bring Hunter Biden back into
people, I think the thing is that people seeing people outside of the headlines and outside of at press conferences or outside of anything that's political provides a space for you to get to know people. It's almost like when you watch Michelle Obama and her podcast. Like, a lot of people have these assumptions about what's going on in her life or all these other things, but then you sit down and you feel like you're sitting at the table with her and you get to know her better. So I think it's smart for Jamie to do this. I think it's smart for him to bring more Democrats on because a lot of people said they didn't feel like they knew Kamala. So maybe these are opportunities they can create before an election season.
Well, we'll be talking about Michelle Obama and Barack Obama a little bit later, but first...
Next up, we'll hear about the New York Times ex-Biden official border op-ed that social media is losing it over. Stay with us.